Oil exports collapsing by 94% overnight? That's not a glitch in the matrix. That's a full-scale meltdown. The kind that makes Wall Street tremble, tankers freeze, and ex-presidents scream conspiracy at 3 a.m. Millions of barrels gone. And Trump, he's not just angry, he's going ballistic. Tweets flying, Senate threats incoming. Welcome to the biggest energy crash since COVID, except this time it's policy, not a pandemic, that lit the fuse. Mid-July 2025. A month that will be remembered in oil history for all the wrong reasons. In just over a week, the United States, once hailed as a global oil powerhouse, saw its crude oil exports nosedive by a jaw-dropping 94%. This wasn't a gradual decline. This was a market cliff dive with no warning, no parachute, and no plan B. Terminals went dark, pipelines stood silent, and buyers, they vanished almost overnight. At the center of the storm, Donald Trump, who launched a tariff war targeting Venezuelan oil partners, triggering a retaliatory domino effect. And just like that, contracts evaporated, markets panicked. America's energy dominance was shaken to its core. The world watched, the White House exploded, and the oil industry, it went into survival mode. So where and when did the collapse hit? The crash unfolded across 10 trading sessions between July 10th and July 20th, 2025, and the epicenter, the U.S. Gulf Coast, from Houston to Corpus Christi, from Port Arthur to New Orleans. Terminals that once pushed out 4.7 million barrels per day ground to a near halt. Satellite tracking showed dozens of tankers docked but motionless, waiting for shipments that would never come. By July 15th, traffic had fallen to its lowest levels since 2020. Major trading hubs, from Rotterdam to Singapore, reported missed deliveries and contract breaches. The message was clear: America's oil exports were no longer reliable. Day one, the U.S. administration, under mounting political pressure, hits Venezuela's remaining global energy partners with a 25% retaliatory tariff. The official line: national security and economic self-defense. Immediate backlash. Venezuela and its allies, including buyers in India, Turkey, and Malaysia, cancel U.S. oil contracts. Some redirect orders to OPEC suppliers, others scramble for last-minute Russian cargoes. Day 3 to Day 5, Gulf pipelines slow to a crawl, refineries reduce output, tankers already en route are redirected, rerouted, or stranded. Over 1.5 million barrels per day of supply go unclaimed. Day 6 to Day 10, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Occidental release statements warning investors of severe and abrupt export disruptions. Oil traders flood global exchanges trying to hedge losses. Meanwhile, Trump unleashes a storm of truth social posts. They're killing U.S. energy. Treasonous. We were number one. Now we're being sabotaged from within. He accuses Democrats, the media, OPEC, and even U.S. port unions of colluding to crush oil. Wall Street, the S&P Energy Index drops 11% in a week. Oil-linked ETFs hemorrhage billions. Analysts scramble to adjust models that never imagined a 94% drop. Let's rewind the clock. Since 2015, when the U.S. lifted its crude oil export ban, American oil had become a global fixture, thanks to fracking, shale production, and massive infrastructure investments. From 2017 to 2023, U.S. oil exports exploded, jumping from 500,000 barrels per day to over 4.5 million. America became energy dominant, even exporting to former adversaries. But the energy landscape in 2025 was fragile. Global demand was waning due to widespread EV adoption and improved fuel efficiency. OPEC Plus nations, sensing an opening, ramped up output in early 2025, leading to oversupply. China's economy, once the engine of demand, slowed dramatically amid real estate and demographic crises. India and Southeast Asia diversified their sources, increasing reliance on Middle East producers. Then came the tariffs, the final blow. Trump's policy missteps isolated the U.S. from key emerging markets, and as buyers fled, America found itself with oil and nowhere to send it. Add to this port congestion from aging infrastructure. The economic shock was fast and brutal. U.S. rig count fell for the 12th time in 13 weeks. Drilling permits across Texas, New Mexico, and Wyoming were suspended or delayed. Oil field services companies like Halliburton and Schlumberger began laying off workers, thousands by late July. Petrochemical giants in Baton Rouge and Lake Charles scaled back operations by 30 to 40%. Meanwhile, Brent crude prices dropped to $68 $60 per barrel. WTI crude fell to $65, the lowest since June. Oil-linked state economies like Louisiana and North Dakota braced for budget shortfalls. For importers like India, the shock triggered an energy scramble, with sudden price surges on contracts with the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. And then, the political aftershocks. Trump called for emergency Senate hearings. He accused the Department of Energy of incompetence and demanded the National Guard secure key ports. Partisan tensions soared, talk shows exploded, election narratives were rewritten in real time, some overlooked facts. Even as crude exports collapsed, U.S. distillate stockpiles surged, including diesel and jet fuel, creating temporary relief for domestic freight companies. Gasoline demand within the U.S. remained high, driven by summer travel and holiday road trips, highlighting a unique divergence between domestic strength and export weakness. Multiple analysts compared the crash to 2020's COVID-era dip, but noted this collapse came from internal trade decisions, not external global health crises. Insider reports revealed that at least 11 major contracts worth billions were terminated or frozen by foreign buyers, citing geopolitical unreliability. As of July 25, 2025, U.S. oil exports have partially recovered, back up to 3.86 million barrels per day, according to the Energy Information Administration, but that's still nearly 900,000 barrels per day below pre-crash levels. So, what's next? Scenario 100, quick recovery. If trade relations stabilize, tariffs are lifted, and energy diplomacy restarts, exports could return to 4.5 million barrels per day by fall. Scenario 2, prolonged slump. If tensions persist and global demand plateaus, America could face a long-term decline in energy influence, with rising competition from OPEC, Russia, and even Canada. And then, there's the wild card, Trump's 2026 political ambitions. If he regains influence, expect another round of energy nationalism, for better or worse. A 94% collapse in oil exports isn't just a headline, it's a warning shot for the U.S. economy, for global markets, and for the fragile political ego steering the ship. The oil crash of July 2025 proves that energy dominance is not immune to diplomacy disasters. So here's the question: is this the beginning of the end for U.S. oil supremacy, or just another round in the never-ending fight over black gold? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next twist in the global energy war. This is Docverse, digging deeper, cutting through the noise. Until next time.